The sea is calm at first. Too calm. The boats slow down. Not because of enemy fire. Not because of orders. They slow because the water suddenly feels wrong. Men lean forward and look down. The water is clearer than expected. Too clear. They can see shapes below. Sharp shapes. Hard shapes. The boats stop moving. Engines idle. Waves push from behind. But the shore is still far away. Someone whispers that this is not the plan. Someone else checks the distance again. The beach should be closer by now. The tide is lower than promised. The coral reef has risen like a wall. There is a pause, a long pause that feels louder than noise. Then a quiet order spreads from boat to boat. Get out. Move forward. Men step into the water. It is deeper than expected. Some stumble. Some lose balance. Their rifles are held high. Their packs pull them down. The water does not rush. It drags. Every step feels slow. Every step feels exposed. Ahead, the island waits. Small. Flat. Silent. It does not look powerful. It does not look dangerous. But nothing fires yet. And that silence is worse. The coral cuts movement into straight lines. There is no cover, no speed, only open water and open space. Men realize they are walking, not landing. Walking toward a place that knows they are coming. Someone looks back at the boats. They are too far now, too shallow to return. The sea has trapped them between past and future. A sound breaks the silence, then another, then many. The island speaks, not with words, with force. Men freeze, not because they want to, because shock steals movement. Orders are shouted. Some are heard. Some are lost to wind and water. The plan dissolves in seconds. This was meant to be fast. This was meant to be clean. This was meant to prove something. Instead, it becomes confusion. The water that was calm now feels heavy. Each step forward feels like a question. Why are we here like this? Faces tighten. Breathing changes. Fear does not shout. It settles quietly inside the chest. Some men push forward without looking left or right. Some pause, unsure where safety might be. There is no single view of this moment, only small views. A man trying to keep his weapon dry. Another trying not to fall. Another trying to remember his training. The reef does not care about courage. The tide does not care about planning. The island does not move. It waits. What was meant to be a landing becomes a crossing. What was meant to be control becomes survival. Minutes stretch. Seconds feel long. The shore grows closer, but not fast enough. In those first moments, no one knows how this will end. No one knows how long it will last. All they know is that the island has already changed the rules. Behind them is the open sea. Ahead of them is a coral fortress, and between the two, men must keep moving forward. The island is small, but it sits in the middle of something much bigger. Far beyond this reef and beach, an entire ocean war is unfolding. Control of the Pacific does not depend on one place, but it depends on learning how to take places like this. For the United States, this island is a test, not just of strength, but of method. The war cannot be won by attacking everything at once. It must move step by step, island by island. Tarawa stands in the way of that path. If this island holds, it warns every other island ahead. It tells defenders that the ocean can protect them. It tells attackers that ships and numbers are not enough. For American commanders, success here means proof. Proof that a new kind of war can work. Proof that landings from the sea can break strong defenses. Proof that the long road across the Pacific is possible. Failure would echo far beyond this reef. It would slow every plan that follows. It would raise doubt in leaders who already feel pressure from home. It would cost time, and time matters in a war measured in miles of water. For Japan, this island is not just ground. It is a line that must not break easily. Japanese leaders know they cannot stop everything forever. But they believe they can make each step painful. They believe they can slow the enemy until the cost feels too high. Tarawa is built for that belief. It is turned into a fixed point of resistance, a place meant to absorb force and hold. The defenders do not expect rescue. They do not expect retreat. They expect to stand. To them, this island is a message. It says that every advance will be answered, that the sea does not guarantee safety. Both sides look at Tarawa and see more than sand. They see a future shaped by what happens here. For the attackers, it is a doorway. For the defenders, it is a shield. This battle is not about size. It is about direction. If the island falls quickly, confidence will rise. Plans will move faster. New landings will follow with stronger belief. If it does not, everything slows. Every map must be questioned. Every assumption must be rechecked. As men struggle forward through water and coral, faraway decisions already lean on their steps. What happens on this narrow strip of land will decide how the next islands are approached. This is why the waiting matters. This is why the fear matters. Because Tarawa is not just a battle. It is a lesson being written in real time. Before the first boats ever touched the reef, the pressure had already begun to build. Not on the beach, but far away in planning rooms and command offices. The Pacific War had taught hard lessons early. Wide oceans, long supply lines, strong defenses hidden behind water. Every mistake took weeks to fix. Every delay gave the enemy time to prepare again. American leaders knew this could not be a slow war. The distance was too great. The cost would grow with every pause. They needed a rhythm. Advance, secure, move again. Island hopping was not just a plan. It was a promise to move forward without stopping everywhere. But a promise like that must be tested. And Tarawa became that test. On paper, the numbers looked reassuring. Ships were ready. Aircraft were ready. Training had been intense. Confidence grew quietly. Not loudly, but steadily. There was belief that preparation had solved the old problems. That careful timing would protect the landing. That firepower would clear the way. Maps showed water deep enough for boats. Charts showed tides rising at the right moment. The island appeared small and manageable. For the defenders, the view was very different. They had watched the war shift. They had seen islands fall behind them. They knew help would not come. So they prepared to hold. Concrete was poured. Positions were dug. Fields of fire were measured and memorized. The island was shaped into a trap that did not need movement. It only needed patience. They trusted the reef. They trusted the low tide. They trusted that attackers would be slowed before they could even fight. As the days passed before the landing, tension did not explode. It tightened. Men checked equipment again and again. Letters were written carefully. Some were not finished. Nobody spoke openly about fear, but everyone felt it. For some, it was fear of failure. For others, fear of letting others down. For many, it was fear of the unknown. They were not afraid of the island itself. They were afraid of what they did not yet understand about it. The sea looked calm. The sky looked ordinary. That made it worse, because calm hides mistakes, and ordinary moments are often the ones that change everything. As the final hours passed, belief and doubt sat side by side. No one could fully see which one would win. Soon, planning would end, and reality would take over. Behind every order, there is a mind under pressure. And before the first step onto the reef, many such minds were already racing. On one side were American commanders who believed in preparation. They trusted training. They trusted machines. They trusted careful planning. They had studied landings again and again. They believed that strong force, used quickly, could break any defense. There was confidence in ships that could reach far inland, confidence in aircraft that could clear the way, confidence in men who had trained for months. But confidence can be quiet and dangerous. It can hide small doubts. It can soften questions that should be asked again. Some worried about timing. Some worried about tides. But most believed the numbers were good enough. They believed the island would fall fast. On the other side were Japanese commanders who believed in endurance. They did not plan to move. They planned to wait. They studied the island like a living thing. They learned every angle, every shadow, every place where an attacker would slow down. They believed the enemy would come strong and confident, so they planned to let the island weaken that confidence first. They did not expect to win the war here. They expected to shape it. For them, holding even a short time mattered. Each hour mattered. Each delay mattered. They trusted discipline. They trusted position. They trusted that attackers would underestimate what could not be seen from the sea. Between these two ways of thinking stood the men who would fight. Men who did not see maps. Men who did not hear debates. They felt only orders and weight. Weight on their backs. Weight in their chests. Some trusted their leaders without question. Some carried private doubts. But all moved forward because stopping was not an option. No commander could feel the water pulling at their legs. No commander could hear the sudden silence break. Yet every choice made earlier now reached the shore. Belief met reality, and neither side could change their mind anymore. The island was ready. The men were already moving, and the battle was about to decide whose thinking would survive. The first moments feel planned. Ships fire toward the island. The sound rolls across the water. It feels powerful. It feels reassuring. From far away, it looks controlled, like a door being forced open before anyone walks through. Men watch and believe the path is being cleared. They tell themselves this is how it should begin. But the island does not break. It absorbs. Smoke rises and drifts. The noise fades and returns, then fades again. When the firing slows, the water feels empty. Too empty. The boats begin to move again. Engines push forward. Men grip the sides. Some stare straight ahead. Some look down at the water. As the distance closes, the silence returns. Not peace, waiting. The first waves reach the reef and stop. Not slowly, suddenly. The boats grind and tilt. They cannot move forward. They cannot turn back. Orders come quickly now. Get out. Move. Men drop into the water again. But now there is no surprise, only urgency. The island answers. Sound cuts through the air. Not loud at first. Sharp. Precise. Men duck without knowing why. Water splashes around them. Someone falls. Someone helps. Someone keeps moving without looking back. Training tries to take control. Some actions are automatic. Others freeze. The reef becomes a narrow path. Everyone must move through it. Slowly, exposed. There is no room to spread out, no way to hide. The water pulls at legs. The weight of gear drags shoulders down. Every step forward feels earned. On the beach, shapes begin to move. Small movements, hard to see. Then the shore becomes loud. Men reach the sand and collapse behind whatever they can find. Small rises, broken ground. Nothing feels solid. Communication breaks into fragments. Shouted orders, hand signals. Silence again. Some units land where they planned. Some land far away. Some do not land together at all. The idea of a clean line disappears. Time loses shape. Minutes feel long. Hours feel uncertain. The island does not feel small anymore. It feels tight. Every decision now happens close. No wide view, no full picture. Just forward or stop. Some leaders move to the front without thinking. Others try to restore order where none exists. Plans are adjusted without words, by movement, by instinct. Men begin to push inland, a few steps at a time. Pause. Breathe. Move again. The sound never fully stops. It rises and falls like the tide that failed them. Fear stays close, not panic. Focus. Each man learns quickly what matters. Stay low. Stay close. Keep moving when you can. By the time the sun climbs higher, nothing is simple anymore. The landing is over. But the fight has only begun. The island has taken control of the day. Movement becomes the only answer. Not because it is planned, because stopping feels worse. Small groups begin to form without orders. Men follow whoever is closest, whoever moves with purpose. Leadership changes shape here. It is no longer about rank. It is about clarity. A hand points forward. A voice says, "Go." And people go. The island fights back in quiet ways. Heat presses down. The air feels heavy. Breathing becomes work. Water is already low. Thirst arrives early. The ground offers little comfort. Sharp coral, loose sand, hard edges everywhere. Every step inland feels like stepping into a new problem. Messages try to travel back to the ships. Some reach. Many do not. Those far away still imagine control. Those on the ground know better. The plan now lives only in pieces. Some positions are taken quickly. Others hold longer than expected. Each advance is short, measured in yards, not miles. Men learn to read the island, where movement is possible, where it is dangerous. They begin to understand what the defenders already knew, that this place was built to slow, not to stop, and slowing changes everything. Fatigue settles in early, not the kind that comes after days, the kind that arrives when effort never ends. Faces grow tight, voices grow hoarse, yet still they move, because staying still feels like giving up ground. By the time the day begins to fade, nothing is settled. No clean victory, no clear defeat. Only ground gained in pieces. Only survival measured in moments. Night approaches quietly, and with it, new fear. Darkness takes away what little sense remains. Distances blur. Sounds travel strangely. Men hold their positions and wait, not for sleep, for the next test. The island is not finished teaching its lesson. The night does not bring rest. It brings questions. Men stay close to the ground. They listen more than they move. Every sound feels important. Every silence feels heavy. There is no clear front now, only areas held and areas unknown. Some whisper, some do not speak at all. The heat fades a little, but the tension does not. Bodies ache. Minds refuse to slow down. Water is passed carefully. A sip, then another later. Leaders count who is still with them. Some names are not answered. They do not ask why. They already know the answer will hurt. As the light slowly returns, the island looks different. Not safer, just clearer. The shape of the ground becomes visible again. So do the problems. Positions that seemed close are farther than thought. Paths that looked open are blocked. The day begins with quiet determination. No speeches, no grand moments, just the understanding that this must continue. Small advances resume. Careful. Slow. Each move forward costs effort. Each pause brings doubt. Decisions are made quickly now. There is no time to debate. Trust forms between strangers. A look, a nod. That is enough. The defenders still hold strong places. They do not rush. They wait. The attackers learn patience in return. Bit by bit, the shape of the battle changes. Not suddenly, gradually. Control does not come as a wave. It comes as a line that inches forward. Exhaustion becomes the common ground for everyone. By the second day, victory is no longer imagined as fast. It is imagined as possible. And that small shift matters. Because hope, even a quiet kind, can move tired legs one more step. As the hours pass, the battle begins to change its shape, not because one side suddenly breaks, but because people adapt. What did not work before is quietly abandoned. What works even once is repeated. Men stop waiting for perfect orders. They act on what they see. A path opens here. A position falls there. These moments do not feel dramatic. They feel fragile. One wrong move could undo them. Some decisions are made in seconds. A leader chooses to move left instead of right. A group pushes forward instead of staying low. Later, these choices will be studied. Right now, they feel like instinct. The defenders begin to feel the pressure, not panic. Pressure. Their strong points still matter, but they are no longer everywhere at once. The island that once felt solid now feels stretched. The attackers sense this change before they understand it. The resistance feels different, still dangerous, but uneven. Fatigue weighs on everyone. Arms feel heavy. Thoughts slow down. Yet movement continues, not because of courage alone, because stopping feels worse than continuing. By now, survival and purpose have blended. Men fight for the next few steps, for the group beside them. The original goal feels distant, but forward still means something. As the second day moves on, the sound shifts again, less sudden, more controlled. Communication improves in small ways. Messages find paths. Support reaches closer. Nothing feels easy, but nothing feels impossible anymore. The island is being learned, piece by piece. Each gain changes what comes next. Each loss sharpens focus. By the time light begins to fade again, there is a quiet understanding. This battle will not end quickly, but it will end. And when it does, no one will remember it as simple, only as necessary. By the third day, the island feels smaller again. Not because it has changed, but because control is slowly returning. Movements become more confident, not fast, but sure. Positions that once felt impossible to reach are now close enough to touch. The defenders are still there, still determined, but fewer. The fight is no longer everywhere at once. It is focused. Men begin to understand where they are, where others are, what must happen next. This clarity does not bring comfort. It brings responsibility. Every step forward now feels final. The sound of the battle fades in places. Silence spreads unevenly. When it comes, it feels strange, almost wrong. The island that once shouted now whispers. By the time control is fully taken, no one celebrates. There is no sudden joy, only stillness. Men sit where they stand. They breathe. They look around. The cost is clear without being spoken. Victory has arrived, but it does not feel light. It feels heavy. Commanders walk the ground and see the truth behind the plans. They see what worked. They see what failed. They understand that success here came with a warning. Tarawa has been taken, but it has also taken something in return. Far from the island, reactions begin to form. Some are proud, some are shocked. Questions are asked. Hard questions. Why was it this difficult? Why were mistakes not caught earlier? The answers do not point to one person. They point to assumptions. Tides can be wrong. Maps can mislead. Confidence can hide danger. From Tarawa, changes begin. Equipment is improved. Plans are adjusted. Training becomes harsher and more honest. Future landings will remember this place, even when they do not say its name. Tarawa becomes more than a battle. It becomes a lesson about underestimating small places, about respecting the land, about listening to reality instead of paper. Today, this island rests quietly. Waves still break on the reef. The tide still rises and falls. But what happened here changed the path of a war. It reminds us that power does not guarantee ease, that victory does not erase cost, and that history often turns not on great lands, but on small islands where human limits are exposed. If you want more stories like this, stories that explain war through people, not numbers, then subscribe to the channel and stay with us.